Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Greetings, Algo artisans. We're going to take a look at Nasdaq, USDJPY, BTC, USD, that's Bitcoin, EURUSD, AUDUSD, and we're going to take a look at gold. And before we get into it, we are going to take a look at the economic calendar to see what type of announcements are coming this week. But even before we do that, there was a little bit of news. Trump has agreed to delay the 50% tariffs on the EU until July 9th. Those tariffs were the reason that markets fell and were going to fall, and now this delay is why price might be headed back up on a lot of stuff, including the Nasdaq. So just a roller coaster of a ride due to Trump opening his mouth. He's certainly adding volatility to the market. So let's just go ahead and jump right into the data here. Tomorrow will be quiet. You got GBP and USD on a bank holiday. I don't expect a lot out of tomorrow. Tuesday, no real events until the evening, 9:30 p.m. Aussie news, and then 10 p.m. some New Zealand news, their monetary rate. So trading the Kiwi could be pretty exciting. Same with the Aussie, it's CPI. So I'd be pretty careful trading down under late on Tuesday night. Let's take a look at Wednesday, FOMC meeting minutes. That happens at 2 p.m. EST. And this is why my predictions this week do not go past Wednesday at about noon. All right, because FOMC minutes is going to tell you what was being spoken about at the FOMC meeting. I'm sure it's all for public consumption, of course, but that will affect markets. So Thursday, 6:30 a.m., we have every week unemployment claims and the GDP quarter over quarter. So that's 8:30 a.m. EST, and that could push around the USD markets and the stock market, everything else. And then you have at 3 p.m. Bank of England Governor Bailey speaks, which really could affect anything British, especially their currency. Friday is going to be tricky for the euro. It's CPI German data. They call it all day, so there's no real exact time that that's going to come out. I don't tend to trade Fridays anyway. If I were scalping Fridays, I'd just be really careful on tightening up stops and protecting my investment. But Friday's a really good day just to generally sit back from trading. 8:30 a.m. there's Canadian data. Their GDP comes out. USD, the PCE price index comes out. Now that's a red folder event, and the PCE is actually something that people undervalue. It's an inflation metric. It's not quite as heavy as the CPI, but some say it's more important. Definitely, I would be not trading until that was done. And again, given we have the German CPI coming out, I might not trade anything euro related all day long, and that would be the end of the trading week. So let's jump right into the charts. Of course, coincidentally or not so coincidentally, Trump came out with his delaying of the European tariffs right at the Sunday futures open. I mean, come on, guys. We all know what that's about. So, of course, we have Nasdaq headed back up. I do think it's going to run into maybe this old range that it was in. So, realistically, it could kind of hang back out here. I think there was enough reason for the market to pull back a bit, though, so we might not see it be able to break above this 21,600 area. We're going to see how that works, and it's going to have to really be watched for the next 24 to 48 hours. Like I said, I think tomorrow will be quiet due to the holiday, and the Nasdaq futures will do whatever they do in that time. Let's take a look at USDJPY. Now, this one has had its own metrics, and if you watched last week, we being me, called this move down really, really well. This move from top to bottom, I called it out, and it behaved pretty much exactly how I said it would. This is beautiful. Go watch last week's video. The receipts are on the internet. I do expect price to move down. Again, the predictions this week end right at the time of the FOMC minutes, but this has enough bearishness on it to where I still expect these hard pullbacks to the upside and then continuation downside. I don't expect for that to change. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin already being affected by the Trump tariff reversal, having popped up nicely. It couldn't make it down past, say, 106.8K. And at this point, I don't even know if it's going to head down. It may just go sideways or up. And again, I drew this prior to Trump letting this information out, so we're going to see it may actually just go ahead and continue up. There might be new news that comes out that pushes it back down. This is Trump era trading, so a lot of these predictions that we do on Sunday are going to have a lot of it might do this, it might do that. I know that may not be quite as useful, but remember, I don't use this data for trading. I use it for which way is the wind blowing, right? And you can't predict when Trump's going to open his mouth, and I'm getting very annoyed by him lately in this regard. So we're just going to have to see how it behaves. I'll be back on Tuesday morning and we'll reassess then. Let's take a look at the euro. EURUSD continuing up. That prediction seems to continue as to where it was going before. So I do expect it to head up. It is in an older range that's a pretty well established range. It's passing that midpoint with a lot of bullishness. So I do expect it to head up to about 114.21 in USD terms. Now it might kind of bounce around up there, but I expect it to grind up or even break out quite possibly. Let's take a look at the Aussie dollar. Now, I drew this prior to the announcement, but apparently that announcement is causing this to catch fire. I expected it to head up after pulling back. It is not pulling back. It's just heading up. So really, to properly do this, I just move this up here, and it appears that it will probably head up, eventually break out, and go to the upside. This has been very bullish for quite a long time, and I don't expect that bullishness high time frame to really change. I expect this to head up, and the next major resistance is not for a while, but there is a notable resistance sitting right here from some old price action, and that is at 65.50 USD. So price should head up to that area, which happens to be where I drew that top earlier, right? So we'll see how that goes. And again, I will reassess this on Tuesday. Let's take a look at gold. All right, now gold, I did not correct this after the announcement. Of course, it gapped down. Now that the markets are calming down and there's less uncertainty, gold is going to not move quite as much as it did, but there's a lot of bullishness left in gold. So I don't think I'd be surprised to see it just shift down a little bit, but continue up, maybe be a little bit more sluggish than what I drew, because I did expect, when I didn't know that Trump was going to reverse his decision, I expected the market to have a bit of a tougher time. So we might see gold approach 34.30 and then maybe get rejected or rejected sooner, but that's a pretty strong resistance up at 34.30. So I don't know that it's really going to pass that, and in reality it could actually just kind of go sideways and continue down now that the new news is out. So this is trading. This is how it is. You get a lot of unexpected information, announcements that we did not expect, and we just have to correct course at that time. I don't trade Sundays for exactly this reason. Even if there's no news, Sunday opens tend to be where price goes in the opposite direction that it was supposed to go. A lot of people get pushed out of their trades. I think, quite frankly, that what Trump is doing is manipulation. I mean, hey, man, I voted for the guy, and I think that what he's doing needs to be done. However, it does sometimes make trading tricky. The good part about it is it adds a lot of volatility to the market. Volatility is what most traders need to be successful. So what we do is we steer into the skid. If things change, we take a look at the price, see what it's doing after it's corrected a bit, after it's course corrected and things have changed, and we take advantage of that volatility, because with no volatility, there are no trades. So in the end, this is actually a trader's paradise. Once in a while, you take a left turn. Sometimes it helps you win a trade. Sometimes it helps you lose a trade. But then you just pick up where that left off and take advantage of it. And if you want to know how to do that, come on over to algofactory.tech. You get your free algo. Link is in the description. Just give us your email. Give us a name, real name, fake name. We don't care. Could be John Jacob Jingleheimer, swing trader. And the next screen, you don't even have to look in your email, although we will send you an email, but the next screen is going to be your algo. And also, I'm going to do a workshop where I'm going to do trading probably for 2 days in a row. I'll trade the New York session where everybody can watch, and I will share everything that's going to happen, I think, in late June. I haven't set a date yet, but that is the plan, and I will email everybody with that date and with your entry ticket. It's going to be the only free one that I do. The rest will be paid, and let me tell you, the last couple of weeks of live trading, there have been some great wins over at Algo Factory. They get to see what I'm doing. Of course, they're not supposed to trade when I'm trading. However, if their trade data, their research looks similar to my trade, and they take a trade that looks like mine, who am I to stop them? All right, thanks for watching. Come on over algofactory.tech. We will teach you how to trade like a hedge fund pro, and we will look for you Tuesday morning, bright and early on YouTube for the pre-market report. Thanks for watching.